Another day, another ride on the good old Bafang. Got my new gear in. I got myself another nylon gear. I'm gonna try and get a brass one machined. I've ordered some extras, so I'm gonna send them off to a machine shop. It would actually be a cool video if I could show how it is that they managed to machine that gear. That would be really cool. Anyway, so I did a video a while back about a guy named Henrik Husby. This video was called Apple Sues and Then They Lose. The story is Apple sued this repair shop for importing screens that had Apple logos on them. And the issue is that it goes like this. So it's very difficult, if not impossible, to buy OEM screens anymore. So you have two kinds of things that we can use if you want high quality. High quality knockoffs or refurbished. So refurbished means that you take the screen, which has two components typically, the touch screen, which is the part that you're touching with your finger. Actually, three components. The touch screen, which is what registers your touch, the glass layer that goes over that, and the third is the LCD, the part that makes the picture. 90% of the times when you break a cell phone, why are you parking in a bike lane? You fuckface. What the fuck? You cunts. I swear, the way people drive in New York just... Anyway, no more road rage. So, there's three parts. There's the LCD, which is the part that makes the picture. There's the glass, which is in the front. That's the part that you touch with your finger. And there's a touchscreen digitizer layer under it, which is what registers your touch. Now, 99% of the time what breaks, or 90% of the time, is one of those first two layers. The part that makes the picture, which is actually the most expensive part, is the part that's totally fine. So what a lot of people will do is they'll send their screens that are broken to China, that have a good LCD, but a bad glass. They'll have it refurbished in China, and then they'll have a screen to offer their customers that's, for most intents and purposes, as good as new. You know, it used to be that the refurbishing process back in 2012, people were really, really bad at glass-only refurbishing. Why are you cursing? You're the one going through a red light. Did you see that asshole? He's not only cursing and screaming at the cars, but he's also breaking the law by going through a red light. If you're gonna curse people out, at the very least be in the right. Like when I curse people out, it's because they're cutting me off. I curse people out when they're parking in a bike lane, but you gotta curse people out because you're right. Anyway, try to be in the right when you curse somebody out on a bike. But back to this. So they'll send the screen to China to replace the glass, and typically, this is just fine. Now the thing is, that screen will typically have two ribbon cables on it. One is going to be for the LCD screen that plugs into the phone, and the other ribbon cable is for the touchscreen digitizer part. Now, on that phone screen, the LCD cable will have an Apple logo on it. And what Apple is saying is that, hey, I know you got this screen refurbished in China, but we actually think that you're... People in their driving, it really sucks. They'll say that this is counterfeit. You imported something with an Apple logo on it, and you didn't get it from an Apple authorized reseller. That's counterfeit. Now, what we are affirming is no, it is refurbished. That is not a counterfeit part. Henrik Husby defended himself against a lawsuit, and in Norway they decided in his favor, which is great. Because this is one of those really precedent cases that's really important. Because if they decide in favor of Apple for somebody like this, that means that we've entirely changed the definition of counterfeiting. If I change the gear set and my Schwinn Searcher 2 bike, is it no longer a Schwinn Searcher 2? If I change from a Pro Max to a Shimano disc in the disc brakes, is it no longer a Cannondale Quick CX whatever? You cannot say that this Honda Accord in front of me is no longer a Honda Accord, but is a counterfeit Honda Accord because somebody changes the glass that's covering the light. The same way, in my opinion, that you can no longer say that a part is counterfeit because you replace something on it that is broken. And it also brings up the question of how much has to be replaced on something before it is counterfeit. How much has to be replaced before it is counterfeit? And what I would argue is that if you're replacing a broken glass touchscreen layer on a screen, that it's not counterfeit. It is refurbished. It is repaired. This is the definition that we have used for a very long time, and there's no way in hell I'm waiting for all these jackasses. The light's gonna be green for me. Let's go, go, go! Here we go. Anyway, I gotta get in the lane to make a left turn. I don't think I'm gonna be able to make a left turn here. Maybe I will. Can I? Eh? Yeah. Traffic in New York sucks. You can always count on it. Yep. Totally able to make a left turn. Woohoo! So this totally changes the definition, as I said. Can I say that this Toyota Highlander in front of me is no longer a Toyota Highlander because you use a different brand of tires than what came with it? Can I say that this Nissan Pathfinder is no longer a Nissan Pathfinder because you changed its muffler to a different muffler? No, you would say it's a repaired car. I would not sell that as a counterfeit Nissan Pathfinder simply because you replaced one piece in the Pathfinder. It's still a Pathfinder. The same way that it's not a counterfeit iPhone screen simply because you took the broken glass layer in front of it and replaced it. Further, we have no evidence. There's no proof in this case that it wasn't refurbished to the original standard. Because there are going to be people that say, well, Lewis, what if he used a different glass than the glass that Apple would use? Then it's counterfeit. I would say, A, no, it's not counterfeit, because if that's the case, none of these cars on the road are real, because most of these people that go to independent mechanics, they all made those cars counterfeit. That's no longer a Toyota Camry, that's no longer a Pathfinder, none of these cars are legitimate anymore. Like, my bicycle is no longer a Schwinn Searcher 2. It is a counterfeit Rossmann creation, because it no longer has the disc brakes that came with the bicycle. But even if we have proof that he did not use original Apple glass, or whatever glass that Apple uses when they create these phones, how is that possibly counterfeit? Now, the issue is that, as I said, this changes the definition of counterfeit. This is something that we have had the definition of repair or refurbishing be repair or refurbishing for 100 or 200 years now. You do not have to put Pro Max discs into this bicycle for it to still be considered a Schwinn Searcher 2. I can use a different brand of discs, and it is still a Schwinn Searcher 2 that just so happens to have its disc repaired. Now, if the brakes were repaired very terribly, then it would be a bicycle that was repaired or refurbished very terribly. It would not be certified manufacturer refurbished, it would be simply third-party refurbished. Which is why, when you go to sites like eBay, even on a site like eBay, they have distinctions. Was this manufacturer refurbished? Was this certified refurbished? Or was this third-party refurbished? Because different people are going to have different standards for refurbishing. We do not simply refer to... We have not gotten to the point in our society where we consider third-party repair and refurbishing to be counterfeiting. That is insane. But that is what Apple is trying to allege, because the part, when re-imported, just so happened to have an Apple logo. Now, he is not... He's not stamping that logo. That guy wasn't even pedaling. He's not stamping an Apple logo onto a part that he created himself out of thin air. He's not doing that. He didn't create this part in his backyard and then put an Apple logo on it and say, I'm gonna misrepresent this as an Apple part. No. He took an Apple part that was broken, had it fixed, and did not remove the logo. This is nuts. Paul at my shop used to be a mechanic. He does not remove. That was a lot of glass I went over. Fuck. That's karma for passing that other dude. Paul does not remove the Toyota logo from a car that he works on when he changes the brakes or the muffler. I don't remove the Schwinn logo from my bicycle, even though I probably should, because Schwinn's not exactly a brand to be proud of anymore, but I digress. I do not remove the Schwinn logo from my bicycle simply because I change the disc brakes. That's with a different brand. That's not what I do. But this ruling, the court ruled in favor of Henrik and against Apple, which I was very happy about. Then Apple appealed the decision. And what happened after Apple appealed the decision? Well, they got granted their appeal. Their appeal is going to be sometime next year. I think June or July of next year. I couldn't tell. Henrik's English is not exactly the best. I am going to have to ask him to clarify in an email. He spelled it J-U-N-I, Juni. I don't know if that's Norwegian for a different month or if that's just June with a typo. And he actually asked if I would attend. And I may actually decide to visit Norway to attend, assuming that the trial is in a language that is understandable or translated. I imagine that streaming a Norwegian trial is probably not going to be of interest to most of the audience, given that you don't speak that language. Unless maybe we have a live translator, which would actually be pretty cool. I would try to find somebody who could maybe do a live translation or live subtitles or something like that. That would be really amazing. Or somebody to translate it to English, and maybe we have 2 soundtracks for the stream. I don't know. I'm going to think about it. But what makes me sad is that they got granted their appeal, which means that in Norway right now, there is a chance that Apple will be able to redefine the definition of third-party refurbishing to counterfeiting. And that is fucking scary. But that's not all, folks. It gets worse. So I've been quiet about this because I thought there was a chance that it would get published, but screw it, it's probably not going to get published, and it's not like I have any loyalty to CBC News Canada anyway. So CBC News Canada reached out to me, and they were really excited about doing a piece. And I was not very excited about this because every single encounter I have ever had, with mainstream media, has been a 100% waste of time. Either they misrepresent what I say, they say things that I did not say, they get facts wrong, they do not publish things that I think are good to have published. Fuck, I'm late for something. Actually, no. So I'm not interested in dealing with mainstream media, but I broke this boycott. I'm not dealing with mainstream media because they typically click sensationalists that already have the desired narrative for their story before they speak to you. I broke that this year to deal with CBC News Canada, and the guy seemed actually pretty nice. And I felt bad for the way that I kind of dicked him around because he kept asking me to get a date. I didn't have a date. Then I said at the last minute I couldn't do it because I decided to go on vacation with who is now an ex-girlfriend instead, and I didn't want to mess up the vacation schedule. So, but then I decided at the last minute, no, this is probably a worthwhile piece that you should do. Put the time into it. Stop being a dick to mainstream media. So they wanted to take a computer that was sent to them that did not work, take it to an Apple store, and hear what it is the Apple store had to say. Then take it to an independent, and they recorded it. They used one of these cameras that you could sneak into a Starbucks cup or something like that. One of those spy cameras and microphones. I don't know exactly how they work, but you get the idea. So one of those like spy cameras that you put into a Starbucks cup. And they recorded the Apple store saying it was somewhere between $1,000 to $1,200 to fix this machine. And the gentleman from CBC News gave them numerous chances, several chances, to update his story. Like, are you sure it's going to be $1,000 to $1,200? Are you sure it's nothing simpler? Are you sure you've opened it? He kept asking because he really wanted to be fair. And the guy said, it's going to be $1,200. It's going to be $1,200. So then he brings it to me. And I showed him under the microscope that the video cable on pin 1, it was bent. Likely some sort of do-it-yourself or damage that somebody had inflicted on the machine when messing with the computer for whatever reason or replacing the screen. It happens very often. And then I bent the screen cable back into place under the microscope and I plugged it back in. I measured and I no longer saw a short on pin 1 to backlight. And at that point, I gave it worked. So I told him that there's two options. Behind door number 1, we would charge somewhere around $100 to $150 to replace the video cable, which would be the, quote, proper fix, end quote. Behind door number 2, I would tell the customer, you can use this cable. It is a little bit more flimsy now, obviously. It's like a paper clip when you bend that thing back and forth. There's only so many times you can do that. So it's a little flimsier, but it'll work. And you could just leave it tip, whatever you decide, but I'm not going to charge you. Those are the two options that we typically give. And then he asked me a couple of questions, and one of the statements that I made is that typically there are a lot of times where we've had customers that have been to an Apple store and told that you have to pay X price, like $750 or $1,200 or whatever, and we've been able to fix the device for a lot cheaper because it did not need that level of repair. Now, they showed, which is the fucking truth. That is absolutely 110% true. And I demonstrate it on a daily basis. It's written all over the Yelp and Google reviews for our business. If you've been in this business for more than 10 minutes, you know this is true. Guaranteed. And you can just go to an Apple store and then go to an independent like us, or Jessica Jones at iPad Rehab, or iOutlet run by Michael Oberdick, or Chris Longshop and BNC Connection, and see for yourself that this is the case. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, this is the avenue where nobody obeys traffic lights. Always a bunch of fun. So he said, we showed the piece to Apple and asked for their response, and their attorneys got back to us. And long story short, the attorneys for CBC are scared to publish the piece unless I give them something close to affidavits, or people who are willing to sign an affidavit that were customers that say that everything I said was true. That I went to Apple, they said it would be $750. Then I went to Lewis, and they said it would be $325 or something. So I thought, okay, fine. They're afraid. Lawyers, I get it. I think I'm getting texted by somebody that I'm late for. Shit. I'm gonna lie. Right around the corner. 1 minute. This is what everybody does to me. This is what this actual person that I'm late for has done to me, so I'm doing it to them. I feel mean. That's terrible. But still, karma. Anyway. What did I say? Where was I? Oh yeah, so they wanted me to submit this. So I said, okay, this is a little silly. You know, I mean, I have customers that have said this. It's written in my reviews. You can see the pricing on their own website. I just proved to you that this was true. You have video evidence. And I even gave you the video evidence from the Microscope that shows you that they were trying to charge you $1,200 for a bent pin and a display cable that you can buy for $5 or $20 on eBay. But I digress. So I had one of Jess's customers who had this very experience. This experience with Amy was live streamed on Jessa Jones's channel. And she contacted them. And she was more than happy to deal with them. And what did they say? Oh, garbage truck. No, I'm not going to smell that. Fuck that. Fuck that. No. We're going past that. No. No inhaling that. Ugh. I stopped behind a garbage truck once before and never again. And now we have the street to ourselves. Whee! Bafang! Oh! Pothole! Oh, my balls. Ow. Oh, I deserve that. I so deserve that. Oh, public roads. Ow. Public roads. Privatize this shit. Please. For the sake of my genitals, will somebody privatize the road? Anyway. So this person contacts them, and they said, yeah, we heard from them, but yeah, we'd still like more before we publish this piece. And I'm just thinking to myself, you're CBC News. You make fun of Brett Kavanaugh for defending himself for defending himself against what he believes is a false rape accusation. You make fun of President Trump, who is a billionaire president of the United States on a daily basis. You make fun of Canadian politicians all the time. You stir so much shit, and you are not willing to publish a video that says that sometimes independent repair might be a little bit cheaper than the fucking Apple Store. And I'm beside myself here. Just 1 second, putting my chain back on. Damn, that was some pothole. I think it wasn't a pothole. I think it was a sewage something. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Oh, jeez. Streets in the city are truly horrible. Absolutely horrid. Just bottom of the barrel garbage. Anyway, as I was saying, so CBC News, they don't care about writing about CBS executives, or they don't care about writing about the President of the United States. They don't care about stirring the pot against the Supreme Court justice and saying that he shows how deeply partisan he is by accusing people who are using a partisan hit job on him with no evidence that was specifically timed to be right before a nomination. Yeah. Anyway, but you're afraid of publishing a video that showcases that Apple wanted $1,200 for bent pin 1 on an A1398 when you have evidence from a Microscope ProRes video that I gave you that showcases in real time with your own staff as witnesses that all it needed was a bend in the display cable. Like, you're afraid to publish that. Really, seriously. Like, this is where you draw the line. And this is what's turning me into Frank Grimes. This is the kind of stuff that turns me into Frank Grimes from The Simpsons, where I just want to touch that. Oh, high voltage, I don't have to touch that because I'm Homer. Like, Norway's government is granting Apple an appeal on a case that could set the precedent that third-party refurbishing is actually counterfeiting. CBC News, a multi-billion-dollar news organization, is afraid to publish a piece where I say that sometimes independent repair costs less than Apple. my brain is exploding just thinking about this, and I really don't know how to respond to most of this other than to just rant while I'm riding my bicycle, which is actually quite therapeutic and helping me feel better here. But I think I will wind up going to Norway next year to cover the trial. I think I will, if allowed to have a camera there. I would love to have a camera in court. I do gotta ask beforehand. I don't know how Norway's legal system works like ours. If there were any one of our Norwegian friends or subscribers are watching, or know a Norwegian subscriber or friend that's watching, I would absolutely love to hear from you, because I want to know if I could broadcast this. I would also be more than happy to pay for a translator if it would be possible, or some sort of real-time translator, because my audience mostly is not Norwegian and would have no idea what's going on. And I really hope that CBC News Canada just grows a set of balls, because it's not... Like, is it really my job to get affidavits from all these customers because your legal department is more scared of Apple than they are the President of the United States or the President of CBS or any of your own politicians? Like, what does Apple have on you? Really? What does Apple have on you? How is it that I am less scared to do this than you are? I don't have a legal department. I don't have a full-time staff dedicated to responding to these things. I don't have millions of dollars. But for some reason, I am less scared to publish the truth as I see it than they are. It genuinely makes me wonder, like, what is the Canadian taxpayer paying for? Because you're funding this. I mean, whether you like it or not, whether you agree with CBC's very partisan take on things or not, whether you agree that they're doing a good job or not, you're funding it, because that is the way government works. Just like the roads, you know, you're forced to pay for them, whether they get better or don't. So that's it for today, and I'll have a repair video next time. Sorry, I don't have much repair videos today. I had a lot of other stuff to catch up on, and I will see you later. Hopefully the sound on this worked, and if you are going to ride up Bafang in New York City, and you're going to ride on the roads here, hopefully you learned your lesson and you protect your balls. That's it for today, and see you in the next one.